I now recognize the esteemed gentleman from California, Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Biden-Harris administration, through the IRA and the IIJA, has leveraged over $600 billion in private investment in American energy and manufacturing. It's the largest investment in climate action in the history of the world. We're here to talk today in part about the costs and benefits of these strong investments in America. But I also want to spend my time talking about the costs of inaction. Recent studies have found that the global costs of climate change stemming from extreme weather, increasing natural disasters, and other effects of a warming planet could reach $3.1 trillion a year by 2050. So this includes the cost of damage to infrastructure, property, and public health. These costs will increase over time as the impacts of climate change become more severe. For example, one issue threatening my state and my district, fueled by climate change, is the rising threat of catastrophic wildfire. Wildfire and wildfire risk continues to raise the cost of living, the cost of health care, and lower the quality of life for my constituents. Climate change, prolonged drought, and over a century of poor land management and oversuppression have led us to this point. As wildfires grow in frequency and in scale, people are feeling the harm not only on the environment, but in their wallets. Earlier this year, insurance rates for California homeowners increased by an average of 34%. Utility wildfire prevention and mitigation costs are also approaching $5 billion a year. We need a different approach, and I'll just call the attention of this committee to my bipartisan Fix Our Forests Act, which passed out of the Natural Resources Committee on a voice vote, which provides the Forest Service, the state, local, and tribal agencies with the necessary tools and support and leeway to deal with the threat of wildfires. It also takes significant steps to harden communities and invest in innovative research and development, building off several recommendations from the Wildland Fire Mitigation and Management Commission. Every dollar invested in reaching California's current forest management goals, residents get $4 in return in benefits. And each year California fails to meet these goals, residents pay $4 billion in otherwise avoidable damages. We no longer possess the luxury of a wait-and-see approach to climate issues like wildfire. We need to take bold action because the costs of doing nothing are so steep. So, Mr. Higgins, do you agree that the costs of doing nothing about climate change outweigh the costs of the action, particularly when we're talking about the investments that the Biden administration has lined up?
I strongly agree. The risks of climate change are severe, potentially irreversible, and highly costly. And fighting climate change is a way to fight inflation.
Do you have a sense of the economic investment, of reversing the economic effect of reversing these investments in our future, which the former president has promised to do if he's elected?
Yes, so the Energy Innovation has a great report looking at Project 2025, and if those proposals came to pass, it would cost 750,000 jobs directly, 1.7 million jobs when you count indirect jobs also, in 2035. It would cut economic growth, it would raise electricity prices, it would prolong dependence on gasoline. It's a very difficult set of policies to contemplate.
Thank you. On a specific issue, if you're able to comment on it, catastrophic fire has become the largest single source of particulate pollution in the United States, poses a major threat to communities, watersheds, and ecosystems. Are you able to address how climate threats, for example, the threat of catastrophic wildfire, is an economic and public health issue?
Yes, so wildfires have, as we've all seen here on the East Coast, been impacting the world at an increasing rate. I think we're only now just catching up to the realization that Californians have had for a long time. Climate change is causing harms today. So the average cost right now of wildfires, according to the Joint Economic Committee, was between $400 and $900 billion each year in economic costs and damages. That counts property damage, the direct and indirect deaths, health impacts from wildfire smoke, income loss, watershed pollution. These are very significant problems, and it's driving a home insurance affordability crisis. So insurance rates are up a third over 3 years nationwide. In California, it's obviously been much more difficult. The rates rose between 2015 and 2021, 800%.
Right. So using wildfire as an example, it's an illusion that we can avoid spending this money one way or the other. Spending it upfront is much more efficient. Investing today in preventing not only the rise in insurance costs, but also cancellation of policies and potentially catastrophic losses for home